Well, as we get started, and we're going to go over here to the Jewish Astrology of Cosmic Science of Yaakov Kronenberg. We've heard some tremendous, absolutely tremendous things from Rabbi Yaakov. He spent years looking at this, years thinking about this, and I had the pleasure to learn with him for a while. So we're going to come over and we're reading his book, his tremendous book. What he's into here is Judaism and astrology, and telling us the basic differences between the Jewish astrology and the astrology of the nations. So basically it boils down to the concept that the nations believe that they are bound by the sun, by the planets. They believe that as the machinations of the cycles of the universe and our lives mesh together, he says that it's predictable what it is, and it's incontrovertible, cannot be changed. On the other hand, the Jewish people are beyond the stars and the planets. We have an ability to be able to connect to a much, much more infinite level than that, and actually change the course of our mazel. So that's Rabbi Yaakov Kronenberg in a nutshell. What he's been doing is he's been proving the relationship between the Judaism itself and astrology. Do they fit together? Is astrology forbidden? Because many people think that it's outside science or it has to do with idolatry, and we've gone through all of that. Now he's still going through different kinds of idolatries. Let me see if I can get this down so it's seeable and also usable. So the book's a big one. Give me a chance. The Baal Ov, now he goes on to explain the Baal Ov as listed in Tractate Sanhedrin. What is a Baal Ov? Baal Ov is a possessor of Ov, is someone who speaks from his joints or under his armpits. A Baal Yuduni is someone who puts a special bone in his mouth and speaks from it. The rabbi said, one who asks the dead, this is someone who starves himself, and goes to the graveyard so that an unclean spirit rests on him. On all the different forms of divinations, our rabbis explain to us what they did, what they are about, and how their work is performed. They said all of them are forbidden to do, like they said, don't learn to do. They said don't try to practice this. But you can study them in order to learn and teach. But you could study them just to be able to understand who they are. To teach not to do it. In general, it was forbidden to ask of them because it is written, it is an abomination. All those who do these be simple with the Lord your God. So again, this is his proof that divination is a general law, and all these others are specifics to this. But one may learn them in order to learn and teach them, because judges and others have to know what all these forbidden things are, in order to know what these practices involve, if Jews get involved with them. From there they saw that you don't ask them, like it says, from where do we learn that we don't ask the Chaldeans? From be simple with the Lord your God, and just be simple with God. It's God only. God is everything. And this comes out from this section of the Torah and the Talmud above, where the rabbis expound all the different kinds of work that are forbidden to engage in and to do. From here, they also warned us from seeking them out and asking them. He said, it is not only that you don't do it, but it is also forbidden to try to find the Chaldeans and ask them. And the word Chaldean here means all those who engage in forbidden works, that is the 4 types of forbidden astrology that all have to do with the stars, the planets and the stars and idols, and all the diviners who use like the Baal Ov and Yuduni. They also called Chaldeans because it was the people of Babylonia, the land of Shinar, who engaged in all these arts. So you see that you have different cultures, all different kinds of things are going on. It is known that all the people of these lands are Aramaic. Now, what does that mean? Like it says, and the Kasdim spoke to the king of Aramat, because they spoke in the language of the nation they were from. And the children of Aram, Ots, Chol, Neter, and Mash, are not mentioned here, not the Kasdim and not the Chaldeans. And the people who lived in the land of Shinar were called Chaldeans, and they were also called Kasdim and Saranim and other names. And the name includes all these as false prophets and Chaldeans. And the Kasdim, they were from the governmental families in the days of Nebuchadnezzar, the evil one. And they had their opportunity to serve their idols, and they were priests in their houses of worship, and from this they were called Kasdim, those who draw down the forces of the planets. So there's a whole cult that lives around this. My comment on this is that we are all faced with the fact that we will not live forever, and the world is a world with many pains. So what you try to do is you could try to get some power. It still exists today in Miami. It's very common. It's called Santeria out there. You try to get some power to protect you or to strike your enemy, or that kind of thinking. This is how they worship these different forces. So the Kasdim were a specific class of Chaldeans. They were like the high priests of the Chaldeans, so they can be called Kasdim or Chaldeans. But the Chaldeans were generally the regular people, and therefore wouldn't be called Kasdim according to their class in society. So the names move around, but he's quoting over here. So Rabbi Avraham learns this, that Chaldeans means all those groups of people who practice the forbidden astrology or divination, but regular astrologers are not called Chaldeans. Since our rabbis said we don't ask the Chaldeans, they included among them the Kasdim who drew down forces from up above. That is Santeria, my friends. And all those engaged in wisdom like these concerning knowing the nature. Their words are to us, like we said, we don't ask sorcerers, Chaldeans, readers of the time, and all the other wisdoms that are similar to them, because the Chaldeans engaged in all those arts. Now we have come to distinguish clearly what it means we don't ask the Chaldeans, and it talks about astrologers, because all astrology is not the same. Now we have to come to distinguish what it means we don't ask the Chaldeans, and it has been revealed to us that what are the wisdoms that are suitable to learn and practice, and what are those that are permitted to learn but not to practice. It appears from this that one who practices what is permitted, and his intention is for the sake of heaven, he can be called a truly righteous one, even through the whole world calls him misguided. But if he forbids what is permitted and permits what is forbidden, we don't call this person misguided. We call him guilty and a sinner because he's left the true path. It's enough for us to know. Get this up there. It's enough for us to know, with all the reasons we have given, to have shown that the one who was strict concerning the bridegroom that caused us to write this, he was in fact so strict that he forbid what was permitted, even though it was known and clear to all that what he did was for the sake of heaven, and he was God-fearing. Now, let me see where we're holding here. I had to read just a little bit more. It's too delicious. Everything we have brought him until now. From his mouth we have learned. From his water it has been drawn, and all the wisdom that is known to all the people on earth is, I think the word was lit up in him. Like the streets of Nardea, which is Nardea was the capital of a Talmudic academy, was in that town. In the Talmud it is said that Shmuel, who was a famous sage of that time, that he knew the paths of heaven like he knew the paths of the city of Nardea, which he grew up in. So the same thing he says here about his teacher, that he knows all the wisdom like Shmuel knew the paths of Nardea. Now I'm going to stop here and come back. We'll come back on another time because we're getting very close to the end of this section. And the next section is called The Basic Model of the Universe. gets much more astrological. The section that we've been working on up till this point is really to try to prove the value of astrology, Jewish astrology, our approach to Judaism. This is Baruch Fleischman.